Oh, wow.
I call it
Oh,
three
wow. Yes,
session statement
Parvati,
here.
I see you. Fantastic. Great. So, right. Creating habits to alter your self-image. As you, I think a lot of you who have filled, whoever filled the form actually said the right things. How do we? What is self-image? The first question comes in, like, before we actually creating habits to alter our self-image. Let's talk about self-image. What exactly it is, and what will we alter if we don't know what self-image is? So the important part is that first understand the concept of self-image, and I'll kind of give very brief overview on that because most of you have actually said it right. It is how do we feel about ourselves, the way we perceive ourselves, how do we see ourselves. It is the opinion, the ideas we have about ourselves in mind. And second aspect is what do we bring out as part of that? What do we bring out in the sense? Okay, I might be thinking I am not such a great public speaker. Do I bring that out as well? If I might be thinking I'm not a great public speaker. So when the opportunity comes in, I don't actually take it up and actually shy away. So I might be thinking something, but if I do take the challenge and accept it, then the self-image, then the idea of self-image changes here because you are not limited by that self-image. In that moment, you feel that you are not a great public speaker, but when that opportunity comes, you still go ahead and try it out. That is a very crucial distinction here, and I'll tell you about from my personal life. I'll tell you, I was in college. I was in my second year of my post graduation course in Pune, and there was a alumni meet happening, and as in all colleges, even in our college, the practice was to choose the leader, choose a person who would lead who would be heading the entire alumni committee, or so called the entire alumni cell or entire alumni activity. So I also raised my hand. I didn't have any clue on how to. So it was so called contest. It was an election. Like it was something that people have to vote for whoever they think would become a better alumni head. So I also raised my hand. I have, like, I was full of doubts, and to be honest, I actually made a fool of myself. Uh, but that was a learning for me at that time. The first step I took, I still know how it still helps me. In that first time, when actually I did not get great many votes, I got the votes of my friends in the class, and after that, they taunted me as well on that. But yeah, so in that moment, yes, I was struggling with the self-image of, hey, you know what? Do, can I do it? And maybe I had the confidence I can do it, but I didn't know how to present it. I didn't know. I had my own limitations with respect to my own thinking on how should I present my message. So they were my own challenges, but uh, taking up the challenge, other students came to me. Some other students came to my class and actually mocked me as well. But that is their own challenge. So the idea that yes, it was not a great feeling. It was not something where I could have where actually I could have done something about it. I did not maybe give a presentation, or I did not give something actually people loved, or people actually convinced people that hey, he's the right guy. But in that moment, what I came through, in the sense, as my own inner challenge or own inner demon, I faced that. I was not successful at that, but my own inner limitation, I said, hey, I challenge you. And that is part of self-image that plays a very crucial role, and we will discuss later how. That is one of the factors I have put in. So what we feel about ourselves and what do we bring out? This is actually this entire self-image process is a loop, is a chicken and egg loop, chicken and egg, right? Chicken and egg, what comes first, egg or chicken? So if you don't challenge what you feel you are, you will be stuck with self-image. So these two factors are crucial, what I think and what I challenge. I will pick up from here to the next one. Overall, self-image, personally, how would I feel is the identity. What do I identify with? or what is occupying my mind. If what is occupying my mind is career, I will have chances are that career will be a great part of my self-image, or at least what affects career will be a great part of my self-image. In the sense, if I see, oh, you know what, I want to be a CEO, I want to be a vice president, or I want to be a president of any company. Okay, then I will start judging myself. How does the president behave? How does he conduct meetings? How does my boss behave? So that one point will become my inspiration, and I will kind of put my everything around that, and I'll start preparing my self-image there. Hmm? So what do I identify? So in a way, these two words are same. These sentences are same. What do I identify with, or what is occupying my mind? Usually, what we identify with is actually occupying our mind. Hmm. So if you identify with say a certain sect, if you identify with a certain college, if you enter, like, there's a huge challenge with young students today. Like, everybody wants a great college. Nobody wants to become a great professional. They want a great college. So the idea of becoming a great professional takes a backseat until a stamp is there. And you know what? This things multiplies. So basically, your self-image, so-called self-image, improves when you think you have gotten what you wanted. But overall, in the larger scheme of things, for the longer term, when actually you get identified with the external too much, when you identify with something that changes fast, you actually start losing in the long term. And that then we have discussed in one of the earlier sessions, we spoke about ego. This can get confusing. Please ask questions if you want on this, and just type in there. I'm not going in the ego aspect too much, because that will get confusing a little. Let's keep a little away from there. We can discuss it if anybody wants to specifically discuss it. Identity is, by the way, a part of ego. Identity is something that is part of that your ego, and yet the ego associates very closely with. So there was one question where actually we asked people, should people should be working on our identity or self-image or not? Some of them said no. Half of them said no. Half of them said yes. Very clearly. There was very clear thought on that. I would say we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice because we live in the world where things are changing constantly. Until and unless you become Buddha, you don't have a choice. Why I'm saying Buddha? Because Buddha was delving in a very different domain altogether, very different level and plane altogether. Buddha was not dealing in the material plane. And then I believe that if you discuss that, we'll go into philosophy and spiritualism, which again is not the topic of the subject. We can discuss it later on if in the questions. That is a different thing. So Buddha is somebody like Buddha would be independent of an identity, because the moment he takes the identity of the material world, he is stuck here. He won't become Buddha. Okay. So for us people who are stuck here, in the sense who are still not that Buddhahood or that thing is inevitable. Anybody is like, for my personal research and conviction, I think you have to go, and no matter how many lifetimes it takes, you have to go there. But then until you reach there, you have this attitude to take care of all the time. So we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice on self-image. So it's better that we work on it. It's better that we are observant what makes it, what actually affects it for me myself. Because what affects for Anjana will be very different for what affects me. And I can tell you what affected me 10 years back doesn't affect me at all now. But I still am working on my self-image. In the sense, this because it's a constant journey. Because what was 10 years back is not now. What I used to take on priority 10 years back, or used to identify with 10 years back, I'm not identifying with that at all now. So my self-image with respect to certain things changes. Supposingly now, if I want to, if I say no, I don't want to be CEO anymore, then imagine everything that I associate will change. Okay, then what do I associate with? What do I want to become? Then my self-image. Okay, so maybe I am very good with say cooking, but I'm very bad with say chemistry. But I am in the domain of chemistry. Somehow I've landed there. So if today I stop working on chemistry, but I have to take up cooking as the job, my self-image will take great amount of leap, because for the very simple reason of what I am doing and what my identity is. If I want to keep on becoming the scientist in chemistry, I'm not good in chemistry. The challenge would be is I'll keep on struggling with certain aspects of success. Or or if I think in that aspect, okay, I want to be the chemistry scientist and I will do whatever it takes, even if it takes me 50 years, I will do that. Then your identity is independent of chemical scientists, or identity is towards learning. So this is how association changes our self-image. The moment you change the association from, say, an object to an inner aspect, your self-image actually takes a boost. So we again, one of the factors is there that we can actually figure out, work on it. So uh, again, to answer this question, no, we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice to work on a self-image, and it's more important today because tomorrow you don't know Facebook comes in, or tomorrow you don't know what comes in your own working domain or your own family domain. Leave aside work, family. 15 years back, there was no YouTube. Now their families, they have YouTube. Our children know more than the parents. So what? There are clashes now. So what do you do with the clash of this sort of self-image of children and parents? Because parents also have a self-image. Children also have a self-image. So the exposure level is different, the challenges are different. So it's more important that all of them start working on their self-image. So if I as a parent associate with a child too much, okay, you know what? Okay, this he should kind of do what I feel is right or what I think is right because I know more. So myself, so the idea that I know more, my self-image, the image that I carry with myself is, hey, you know what? I know more, so the world should listen to me. The challenge there lies is that the moment there's somebody who contradicts me, how do I take it? And that if that hurts my self-image, I become defensive, I attack. So but if I'm open, my self-image is that, hey, I think I'm an open person. If somebody contradicts my opinion, I figure out, okay, what is the truth in what the other person is saying? It changes. So yeah, what forms our identity or self-image? I give you two very clear aspects. I give you from my understanding: outside versus inside. The entire, in my view, the entire universe of so-called whatever affects your self-image is here: outside versus inside, which means what you see outside. Okay, Anjana doesn't like me. Okay, does that affect me? Or Salmia kind of went off camera right now. Does it affect me? Because hey, you know, I don't know what Salmia happened. Am I doing great? Am I not doing great? Am I doing good? Or did Salmia did not like me? That's why he went offline. Or could be. No, no, it's okay. I just kind of kidding. It's like Salmia, don't worry. What I'm saying is that if my self image is dependent on somebody else, I will be always be kind of unstable. The other part is insight. How well do I understand my worldview? In last session we had around 20 people. Today we're around what 6 to 8 people. Okay, oh my God, there's less number of people. I'm a failure. No, I am sharing something. Anjana and I sharing something that we feel like, and the world wants to take the advantage of it. Great, we want to share more, but that doesn't reject. So the self-image I carry is actually not dependent on the number of participants. It does not depend. So because the association with the sharing is so high, I've identified myself and Anjana, and we keep on having conversation on this, that are sharing the idea that what we want to do is share. Let the world decide how much they want to take it from it. And we will do our job. So today, if there are less number of people, we'll again figure out exactly how can we do more. How can actually we invite more people next time or make sure that more people are there. But that's a job. That's not something to reject. That's not something to say, hey, you know what? Oh, less number of people. How should I speak? I should get nervous. I should no. Okay, fine. It's fine. It's perfect. All right. So imagine had we been a little more affected by this aspect of, oh my God, less number of people, what do we do? Nervousness would have hit, panic would have hit us, and all this what we're having right now, we would have been off center, and we would have been worried about it. So that idea is so whatever outside versus inside. So outside is everything: society, family, friends, teachers, media, Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood, Hollywood, music industry, everybody, from from so many people in US to so many people in Japan, everybody can affect us that way. Inside, inside is us. Inside uh, is the way I see the world. How much do I respect that? It's a very clear. In my view, in these, if you are able to see if what is affecting me is outside me, then am I giving it far more power than required, or am I not? I think this will actually tell you how to balance the equation. Actually, outside, nothing should be able to influence you. That's how we should work, and that's how, at least what I have learned is to be going on that. Doesn't mean that we can't make mistakes. Doesn't mean that we won't make mistakes. But even if we make mistake, what is it? What is it that we have with us? Only our within, only our own learning, only our own response. So even like I don't know how many of you have seen Kung Fu Panda. So Kung Fu Panda, I hope a lot of you have seen, because Kung Fu Panda came around 10 years back. I think so, or 8 or 10 years back. It's an animated movie in which there's a panda and there's a Master Shifu, and so in one of the dialogues it says the only, in fact it's not only him, it's also Krishna that says the only right you have is the right to respond. The only thing that comes in my action area is right to respond. Nothing else. There's nothing else that I can do anywhere. Something hit me, figure out how you want to respond. Something is not. Something is something told. Something shouted. Somebody shouted at me. The only thing I have is how do I respond back. So I'll elaborate a little more on this. Okay. Here are the three aspects. I've given you three scenarios. When the outside, so the bigger circle here, you see the outer circle is the self-image universe. Consider this as a self-image universe. So I've given you three diagrams here. Number one, outside is bigger, has a lot more influence than the inside. And this is in the sense, if this is the entire self-image universe, means all the factors that affect you and in which outside plays a bigger role. You'll always be unstable. You'll always be cautious and conscious. You'll always be stopping yourself and doing things. You'll always be limiting yourself. You'll always be living with the idea of uh, poverty in mind. In essence, I don't have this. I don't have this. I don't have this. Okay. Somebody gives you an opportunity to speak. You'll say, "Oh, I don't have it. I can't speak." Okay, because you are consistently reforming your image again and again, again and again. So again, chicken and egg. Understand? Chicken, like one aspect was opportunity coming in. Did I take it? I don't take it. I keep on fostering that self-image in me all the time. It's like every time when I say something, when I say I am this, always remember you are kind of strengthening that thing in you. You are telling that thing to yourself. So very carefully choose your identity. So last something in the last time, in the last session, somebody discussed. So what do we do about the negative news? The point is that if you associate with the negative news, you will become the negative news. We have to learn to have a discretion on that. So second part is outside and inside. Outside and inside almost equal. This is where you feel. This is where you see people actually taking leaps. In the sense, you know your inner worldview as well. You're not that. If outside affects you, then inside also is equally important that affects you. Here in the first image, you don't know that insides play a great role. In this first, that inside, what is inside? My own thoughts, my own feelings. How do I see the world? Okay, I feel Anjana knows better than me, or I never take a decision because I feel Roshni can actually Roshni is always right. So I don't know how many of you have seen Game of Thrones. How many have seen Game of Thrones? Okay, Anjana, I can't see many people here. Okay, so okay, great. Wait. All right. So I'll not give a reference of Game of Thrones here. Okay, it's like when we don't know our own way of looking at the world, or when we don't respect it, rather, I would say, if you don't respect our own way of looking at the world, then actually we always keep on falling on somebody else to tell us what to do. And when everybody else tells us what to do, now it doesn't mean that I go and ask somebody else to say, hey, you know what, tell me now what to do. How do I decide? That friend of mine has taken the decision to go and take that course. I will take the same course. Somebody told me you got a good job in that course. I will take that course. Somebody told me big pay packet is bigger, so I will do only that course will gives me a big pay packet. So this is how the outside tells me what to do. It's not every time I go and ask. This is how I actually keep on reinforcing again and again. And this is fine for somebody who is in the age bracket of 18 to 22 or 23. This is okay. Being in the first diagram is okay, because you are still, because life is yet to hit you. Because when you are 18, 19, you are about to leave your home, at least the comfort life that you have been given overall. You will move out, and go to meet your college friends. You will have an experience like I had, where I raised my hand to become a coordinator and the head of a alumni department, and I got kind of complete, nobody chose me. So you will have these challenges, and how do you respond to that will decide how you build on it, on your self image. So your right challenges will come. If you are 18 or 19, your challenges will come that will challenge you on this aspect. You will work on this aspect. You can easily go from here to diagram 2 or 3. But if you are in this, if you are here at the age of 35, 32, 40, then my dear friend, I have a caution for you, that become very, very observant about yourself, because around 30 or 32, our ego solidifies. Ego in the sense, who am I? It solidifies. Then the effort required to change yourself is even bigger and higher. So, but effort required. When you are 18 or 19, you are still nimble, you are still moldable, you still have lesser ego as compared to, you still have ego, a lot of ego by the way, huh? But still you can learn. There's a lot to learn, and you are open to that. When you are 32, 35, 40, if you have not learned how to learn, and from 18 to 30 will help you do that. So from 18 to 30, if you are able to focus on here, you will move from here, and you can also move here. The third diagram I will tell you. So here, second is the diagram where actually outside and inside, I know the value of my inner voice. I know the value of like a few days, some time back, somebody asked us. I again bring the same thing. Like why we are doing it? Because we value sharing. Now somebody can just come and tell me, okay, why you're doing it? You're not even getting paid for this. In fact, I'm putting my own money on this. You're a fool. So yes, I'm full. I'm fine with it. But because I know what I value. So that is where from the world's perspective it might be wrong. But how do I see? I feel it works for me, and that is where we are doing it. So this is where you start developing this aspect, and this is where you will see people having material success, people getting more because they have been able to work on themselves. This is the place. Okay, the second is a very unique place. Second is still not. The second is the outside equally has an equal influence. So the inside, the growth inside within is used to grow outside. In the sense, I have grown within, so I will go to earn more money. I will try to get and earn more, whatever gives you status, maybe wealth account with banks, or so many other things. I have a bigger car, I have a bigger house. I know of a friend of mine who I feel like, who actually had a very big house, but suffered a major kind of I'll not say disease, but yes, major body challenge. I'll not go on the discussion on that. But at that age, suffering from that is a total case of stress and anxiety. I'm talking about the age of 30. So at the age of 30, somebody is going through it, which means, so what happens is you grew inside, but all the time you grew inside basically is basically this is the person who takes challenges. This person who has grown from here to here will take challenges always. And because he or she takes challenges, this person learns more about himself. This person figures out a way to do things in a different manner. And that is where exactly the learning lies and the growth lies. But this person is still there affected by outside. So the self-image It's still better, it's still stronger. And you find these people, a lot of Twitter people here in the second aspect. A lot of wars that happen on Twitter are because of this. Everybody wants to prove their own point. Nobody's investigating what is right, but everybody wants to prove their own point. Everyone wants to show the other person down. So that's where Twitter has become a place what it has become, because you have a lot of people here in this segment. People who are here, they don't even speak on Twitter. They'll keep quiet. People who are here, they are the people who will think my perspective is the only perspective that is right and I have the right to say it, and they'll keep on going about one way narrative. This is a very interesting aspect. Now this is where actually your inside takes prominence over outside. Outside doesn't define what you want to do. Outside affects me. Yes, I have to live in this. It is like these are the people you find who are doing something very different in their life. These are the people you will find one fine day they get up and leave the job, and with a lot of challenges in their hand. Doesn't mean they don't have challenges. These are the people you will find they will do all the weird so-called, hey, you know what, this is out of weird stuff. Because their inside is very strong. They don't do things for outside. They do things because they value it. And most of them you will find they are inclined because that thing is needed for them overall. And they and because it's not to show somebody, so that you'll find them, hey, you know what, they're not driven by what we think most people are driven by. They are driven by something. Either they are figuring out things on their own within, either exploring, experimenting things in their life, or they are doing something which is good for humanity. These are the people who can give themselves for the world and the humanity. When their inside becomes very strong than the outside, where the outside doesn't influence the inside, the reason to live, the purpose. These are the people who live very purposeful life, highly purposeful life in domain 3. These are the people who are getting there. One day in domain 2, whoever is in domain 2, one day it will happen is they'll become mad, because they are constantly, oh, you know what, I want this next Mercedes, I want this next thing, I want this next thing, because why, you know what, okay, more. One day it will happen is they will break down, because it takes a toll on you. You're constantly thinking how to outsmart somebody else. Person in this is so self-assured that the person doesn't bother in the third domain. That is a self-image. The self-image is so anchored within, so much anchored in your own values and own self-awareness, that what is outside doesn't drive you. So I'll move on from here. Okay, I'm giving you certain important factors, and these are the things I'm going to discuss today. On important factors, what shapes your self-image, and you can actually put this under your perspective, under your. So these are not end all be all. Much more can be added here, but I have given out a major what, as per my experience, are important to be taken care of or to be thought from, observed from. Okay, push, outside versus inside. Source, who controls it. Tendencies, observation and embed, our threshold. Exposure in life, craving for black and white. Age, effect, give and take. Time, is it permanent or temporary? Okay, so I'll discuss one by one on this, and we can go. Yeah, I'll discuss one by one on this. These form the pattern of what we can say habits. Now we come to the aspect of habits. So when we say self-image, and so all those things we discuss about the chicken and egg is exactly what impacts the chicken and egg is these factors. And it's like every time if the aspect that if some challenge comes to me, I say no, I'm again forming a habit of thinking like that. It's a thinking pattern. It is something which I tell myself, the stories which I tell myself. It is that story. Push, outside versus inside. When I say push, I mean what makes you do things. Outer crisis makes you do things, or inner force makes you do things. Okay, and it is never black and white. You're always improving on that. In fact, all the factors we have listed down, we are improving on that, all the factors. Because self-image is also an exercise on awareness, self-awareness. Self-image is a very clear exercise on self-awareness. Very, very clear. Means it is not something you get up in the morning and say, oh my God, yes, I know myself and my self-image is like, this is my self-image. No. Self-image, the concept of self-image is a very clear concept of evolving on self-awareness. Every day you will take a so push outside versus inside. There'll be many things you will do is coming from outside. Like I'm like in my view, a lot of people do the job because it's required. If somebody tells them, okay, here's the money, you don't need to earn money, I'm sure a lot of people leave the job. So what is a push? So, but many people do things which they like because that's inside. Supposing if you like, if you see a dog on the road, or if you see a cat, or if you see a stray animal, or any for that matter, if you see human beings, if you see an accident happening, the first thing you will do is what can I do? That is the inner voice. Okay, that's a human, that's a being human being. There's a reason why human being is called human being, because human and you have to be human. And the more you are you are being human. There's a reason you call it you're called a human being. You are just not called a human. You call a human being because you have to be human, and being human is a constant choice. That is why it is. Otherwise, you can be animal also. You can go and murder someone. You can actually go and actually abuse someone. You can be an animal also. We have animalistic instincts, right? If you would not have animalistic instincts, we won't do half of the things. You are it's like you eat, you have hunger, you have emotions, you have anger. So these are the animalistic instincts within us as well. So and the more you the more you work on that, the more you say, hey, you know what, no, let me be centered, let me not get angry, let me not be taken over by anger. So yeah, so push outside versus inside. Now this is something, if your self image is you are doing things now, I supposingly a lot of people, and there's a cousin of mine who there's not a friend of mine who actually sent his cousin's resume to me, and he said that, hey, just see if you can get a job for her, because otherwise parents will get her married. The point is that uh, am I doing it because somebody else is asking me to do? I will always have the crisis of self imagery, because I'm not convinced with it. And when I do things half-heartedly, I actually compromise myself there itself. If I do anything half-heartedly, I compromise myself there itself. So if you want to do something, even if you're not, if it's not your choice, see how best you can turn it to your advantage instead of just giving it away. So what is pushing you, outside or inside? The more you are pushed by outside, the more you will see you will lack self-image there. The more you will are pushed by things within. I want to do it. Where you bring your will within and say, yes, I want to do it. You will see, more confident self of yourself there. You'll be far more confident in the things that are driven, where you are doing something that you like to do. Half-hearted thing, something that pushes from outside, is always a half-hearted thing. So always, next time, whenever you are actually working on a self-image, figure out what is pushing you to do things. Sometimes fear pushes us, fear of others, fear of teachers, fear of failure. Source, who controls it? Family, friends, peers, media. This source can be anything outside, and today, in this today's world, it is multiple. It is so many things. Advertisements right from morning until evening and night. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My friends, Zoom session like this. The intentions are great of the Zoom sessions, but I don't know who will take how. Hmm. So it's important that to figure out exactly what is influencing me, and that is a crucial aspect. So and uh, it's a lot of times, usually you'll see a lot of influence of peers and friends, especially family initially. Then when you become a teenager, you have friends who become more important for you, or rather who kind of figure out your life with respect to your choices. Then when you go out, it is a different ball game, because then you are looking at, oh my god, that person has a great job, I don't have a great job. Oh my god, that person is kind of or I have a great job, that person doesn't have a great job. Even that is a key challenge of self image as well, the idea of superiority complex. Because if you have superiority complex, it is bound that you will also have inferiority complex, because these doesn't exist in isolation. If I have superiority complex, if I feel I'm bigger than somebody, I will also feel I'm smaller than somebody, because for me to get bigger, there also has to be something which is bigger than me. So source, family, friends, peers, media, again it's outside. Figure it out how much it affects you. Yes, there was a point in my time, point of time in my life where my friends affected me a lot. I took decisions based on that, and I know where I faltered, and I know where what life has shaped, how has life shaped, because I let others influence me. Hmm? But I don't. But there's no point to regret. Why? Especially if you're in the age group of 18 to 30, this is exactly how you learn. This is exactly when you realize, oh, you know what, that was influencing me. Okay, I learned from there. Okay, now I won't let it influence me. Why? Because that doesn't work for me. Like initially, there was a so when I was growing up, there's a huge influence on people drinking. Right, this is a very common thing these days. Students go out, especially when they're 19, 20, 21, exploring life and kind of new independent life. People go out and drink. I never liked drinking, but I used to drink because of the peer pressure. I used to drink because I did not used to feel belong. And a whole lot of my friend circle used to drink, and I said, oh my god, if I don't drink, then I won't feel validated or belong there. Okay, so the feeling of that feel peer pressure, or the need to be belonging or kind of belong, was driving that need to drink. And the day I realized why am I doing it, I stopped it. I never enjoyed drinking, by the way. I still don't enjoy drinking at all. I never enjoyed smoking also. I still, in fact, I never kind of, I it's like, I tried, but I just never liked it. Hmm. So this is the normal. This is what the inner voice is that was telling you, dude, you don't like it, you don't do it. Why are you doing it? And the day I listened to my heard my inner voice, okay, why am I doing it? I don't like it. Immediately, one big thing got sorted. So source, always know, okay, because different source will have different influence. The if you have a family has a big influence. If the influence is positive, very good, it can do wonders for you. But the influence is negative, it is also equally difficult to come out of it sometimes, because you might say, okay, I shun my family. A lot of people do that. Okay, I don't want to take care of my anybody in my family. I'm just going at because I can earn now. But that also has its own repercussions. Hmm? Third, tendencies. This is very, very important to look forward to and take care of tendencies, because these are tendencies which I will take a little bit of philosophical and spiritual angle to. These are the tendencies we are not even aware of, like tendency to be accepted, get validated. It's a tendency. I do things because I want to get validated. Um, fear, fear of not being strong enough to take on fights. Then I will always escape situations where I see a fight. Oh, don't do it. Go. Okay. Fear of being shouted at. Then the other person knows my weakness. The first thing the other person will do is shout at me, because the person knows the shouting works for him. Shout at him, he will kind of get out of the way. And we all use this against others or for ourselves in our daily lives. If you observe yourself, you will see that how we use our tendency and other tendencies. Hmm? So tendencies, what do I tend to do? Figure out yourself. Figure out, see what you tend to do. Do you shout at people? You don't shout at people. You escape from certain places because you feel it will be a like for you. I tell you, sometimes it's like I avoid confrontation. Hmm. Now, and this actually has a huge amount of repercussion in the way I deal with things. But then when I realized it, I started working on it, because when you are doing things, it's impossible to avoid confrontation. When you want to do things the way you want to do, you will have confrontation. Be it parents, be it teachers, be it your colleagues, be it your classmates, be it anybody, you will have confrontation. So if you avoid confrontation, you will actually stop speaking also sometimes. Because you know what? Because speaking can lead to confrontation. Your self-image would be, and when put under pressure, you will do it. So your self-image sometimes might turn out to be, uh, I do things even when I don't like it. It's like I do things half-heartedly. Or so this is how you will start working on yourself. You start telling yourself. As I said, don't do anything half-heartedly because you are compromising with yourself. Hmm? Tendencies. What do I tend to do? There are a lot of tendencies. Tendency to eat. I get stressed. I shoot towards food. Hmm. Now the self-image. Now, if I shoot towards food too much and I don't exercise, of course I'll expand. Now I am fat, and if I am affected by how do I look, now the self-image which I'll carry, imagine. So this is how my tendencies impact my self-image. Tendency to eat, tendency to drink. Now, if I drink too much, I lose myself after every time I go for a party. I lose myself because I'm drunk too much. I'm drunk now. I can't take control of myself. So in that moment, I'm dependent on somebody else. I make a fool of myself. So I'm not able to control myself. So I will always feel vulnerable in that moment or in that aspects. So I won't be able to say confidently, you know what, dude, I know what I'm doing when I'm doing. So that's how I will start have doubts on myself. Like a few days back, somebody just messaged me, I had too many drinks the other night. So I said, do you know we spoke, right? Then the person said, yes, I know, and I want to know exactly if I goofed up, or if I kind of made a fool of myself. So look at the confidence and doubts. If you know yourself, you will say, no, I know that. It's like, and the straightforwardness that will come, the sharpness that will come in you, that'll be different. Observation and imbibe, very, very crucial. Very, very crucial. We all have mistakes. We all have challenges amongst ourselves. We all are not perfect. In no matter, even if I'm Buddha, but I am still in human form, I'm not perfect. So till the time we are human beings, we will make mistakes. But the point is that, do I improve from there? So the idea of self-image is just like I said here. Okay, I drink too much, which means next time, can I improve on that aspect? Or I kind of know I drink too much, so in that time I stay away from people. At least if I make a mess of things. So that aspect of self-awareness. I eat too much, so should I eat in the morning? Okay. Okay. Somebody's when I say observe, so somebody shouted at me. I did not like it. I went into my own cocoon. Or I observe. Okay. The person shouted at me. How did I behave then? Okay. I went into my cocoon. So next time the person shouts at me, how will I behave? I need to know and start practicing that in my mind. Okay. Because some people will keep shouting at you. But what will you do? You will based on outside, you decide your inside, is it? Because if people are keep shouting at you and you go into cocoon, you will think, oh my god, I am a useless fellow, everybody shouts at me and I'm not able to do anything, right? And so anybody, even if the person doesn't want to shout but talks in a loud voice, you will, oh, what happened? Okay. Oh, it's like you know, your fear will go into your body. Your fear will go into your body, and that will affect your self thinking. You'll start avoiding people. You will start avoiding aggressive people. You'll start avoiding aggressive people in your organization, which is very important for you to address. Because as you move forward and upwards, in terms of as you climb the ladder in the corporate world, you will have people will have to figure out ways to deal with multiple kind of people. Somebody will be shy, somebody will be arrogant, somebody will be aggressive, somebody will be timid, somebody will be conniving, somebody will be helpful, somebody will be a good leader. Your team will have 5 different kind of personalities. How will you handle it? So if in your team, if you have somebody who shouts at you, who is reporting into you, you are done. But the point is not that. The point is, when you know how you behave, when you observe yourself more, you know yourself more. When you know yourself more, you address your own challenges, and when you address your challenges, You improve in self-image. Chicken and egg. I have the self-image. Do I work on it? Our threshold. Okay. This is very, very crucial. This is very interesting. What makes us work and take us to say this is I will do? Okay. Like a lot of people are, how should I say? What will it take for me to say it's enough and I will not do it? Or what will it take for me to take it's enough and I will choose my own way? Okay, it is our threshold. It is when you say it's enough and you choose your response. After that, you choose your response. Doesn't mean when you choose a response, doesn't mean that you will have all the right response. You will make mistakes. But when you say it's enough, you also own up the consequences of what comes by taking your own decision. Most of the time, these will be your changing points in your life. This will come across as the inflection points in your life. When you say it's enough, what is your threshold? So for some time, you will, you know what, you will continue, Somebody shouts at you, or you shout at somebody, you will continue. When if I shout too much at people, one day somebody will come and say, who the hell are you? And that time, maybe it will be a good shaking point for me to say, okay, oh, that doesn't work. So what is it that tells me what is my threshold? Like when I took the job, we all do certain things, and I took it up. In the sense, I felt okay. Everything was fine. Everything was good. But when I realized that I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm not doing. Taken all the decision basis on what I felt was given, what was told to me was right. But when I actually decided, when I did my PG, when I did my job, when I went ahead and actually kind of worked in companies, many companies, good companies, great companies, good pay package. But finally, I realized no, it is not working out for me. Something is still missing. That was my threshold, and I said no. And it took me 10 years to figure out. Oh, you know what? It's not working out. So I can't say 10 years is a very long time. 10 is a very short time. At least I realized it. That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to actually realize that, hey, you know what, it's not working. Then at least you can say, okay, now it is not working. What do I do next? So it's our threshold. And the journey since then has been amazing. Since the time I knew it's not working to the time, oh, this is how it works. Because then I started becoming more open to it. Exposure in life. Uh, Exposure in life, I don't mean how many big cities in the world you have lived in. Exposure in life, I mean how much you have learned from life, which means how much you have gone ahead and actually challenged yourself. How much you have left your own comfort zone. Okay. It's like challenges are good because when challenges come, it means there's something to actually find, to actually figure out. There's something why it is. It's like if cooking is a big challenge for me. Okay, but if I like cooking, then it's not a challenge for me. Okay, so in that challenge lies my opportunity to grow. If I learn cooking, then I'll grow. I'll know a lot more about myself. So exposure in life. I'm not saying that how much you have you lived in New York, have you lived in Bombay, have you lived in say Japan. That depends upon opportunities. That depends so many things, and let's not get limited by that. But definitely, what we can do in our day-to-day life is, can I jump out of my comfort zone? Can I decide to jump out of my comfort zone as much as possible? That is exposure in life. So there are a lot of people who put their status as learning from life. A student at a school called life. Okay, so there are a lot of people who keep that. So how much we learn from life when life beats you, left, right, center, top, down, it beats you. You feel, oh my God, I'm no good at all. At that time, do you keep going and walking? Because after 5 years, you realize because you did not give up at that moment, you were able to take the journey, and that moment, that from that moment onwards, your self-image starts improving step by step, step by step, step by step. As I said, it is not a process that you'll get up tomorrow and say, oh wow, I know about myself everything, so I'm done, I'm like done with my self-image. No, it's a self-awareness process. The more you are self-aware, the better and higher will be the self-image. Like today, if I know I don't drink, I actually don't make drinking a part of my networking aspect. I don't network on drinks. There are a lot of people who network on drinks and smoking. I don't, because I know it doesn't work for me. People who love drinking, they love drinking. I network some other aspect, which I feel is good, works for me. So when I know myself, I actually start knowing how to turn external things around. Till the time external things tell me, I'm actually going completely chaotic within. So turn inside out. Exposure in life, again more. Craving for black and white. Okay, black and white is this is right, this is wrong. Okay, we falling into this is a big danger. Because there's nothing called black and white. There is nothing called black and white in this world. What is right for me to do might be wrong for Anjana to do. What is wrong for Anjana to do might be right for me to do. And imagine tendencies. We have tendencies that act, we don't even know. So I have a tendency to get angry, but I want an answer in black and white. So we, because unfortunately we live in the world where we do, when I say engage with life, this is called exposure and engage with life. When you don't, when there is nothing black and nothing white. Kind of leaving the job worked for me because it was a journey I undertook. For some others might not be, but it depends. Like there's no answer to that. But I continuously see this thing in the world today or around me or a lot of people I meet is everybody wants to categorize things in right and wrong. And they want to categorize things right and wrong outside. So what happens is every time, and I want to take and sometimes I take a moral high ground on that. Sometimes I take I do it to feel good or great on that front. So that's all. So please, if you want to know yourself, get rid of this idea called black and white. Okay, this is right, this is wrong. Oh, so how many of you, there's a movie, I think, how many of you have heard this quote from Rumi? Rumi, the Sufi poet, and it's amazing, a fantastic Sufi poet. If you can read more about Rumi, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So Rumi, there's a quote from Rumi, a poem from part of poem from Rumi. It is quoted very often. It says, beyond the world of right and wrong, there is a land, and I will meet you there. Which means he's saying, go beyond it, figure out things for yourself. So because black and white is it's like, how much do we know ourselves as black and white? Can we for sure say this is it, I am like this? I'm not so sure. A lot of people can say this. So when we can't say black and white about ourselves, how can we expect from outside in the world? So please be ready to dabble in the area of gray. Area of gray is about making mistakes. Area of gray is about possibilities. Area of gray is about exploring. Area of gray is about investigation. It's like there's one comment from Sadhguru I like. He says, until the time you have doubt, you have investigation. The moment you are sure, where is the investigation? You don't invite any investigation where you're sure, right? Like this is a mobile phone. I will not say this is a spaceship. It's a mobile phone. I'm sure about it. But when I'm not so sure, then I will say, hey, let me figure out an answer. Let me figure out an answer. Let me figure out an answer. Then I'll say, okay, this. So it's like, who said it? Einstein said it, or somebody else said it? You have done an experiment 100 times. It doesn't mean that you have failed 100 times. It means you now know that 100 times 100 things doesn't work. Now you'll go for 101st thing. It poses a hurdle. If the moment you say black and white, you have already classified things as black and white, and because then there is no room for investigation, right? You're always said it's right or wrong. There's no room for investigation. So this poses a hurdle. The moment you categorize things in right and wrong, you will not develop. You will actually if you see that If you say anger is wrong and anger is wrong, then every time you get angry, you feel bad about yourself. Your self-image will go down. Age. If you are 18 or 19, as I said, 15, 20, 18, 19, teens, 20s, these are the, if you are facing challenges of self-image, great, go ahead and build on that. And if you, and after that, it becomes difficult because as I told you earlier, 30 is a time and is actually a very crucial period in people's life. It's the time when actually ego starts kind of molding itself hard and strong. Another effect, it is in our control or not in our control. This is what we discussed earlier. Response. What uh, a lot of times we beat ourselves for something which is not in our control. There's a group, there are 5 people very loud in the group. Can I control their response? No, I can't. Can I control my response? Yes, I can. I have friends who feel doing XYZ thing is good. Can I control, change them? No, I can't. I can just say, okay, I don't be part of it because I don't like it, or because I don't think that should be done. Every time you hear this voice, every time you know what is in your, so basically going ahead and changing something which is not in your control, you are spending your time and energy and effort unnecessarily. Go on the other side. Don't bother what you cannot, don't bother with what you cannot control. You can change, but you might not be able to control. Go with what you can control and what you can change. That's it. You will always get an answer. You will always get an answer. What will put you in anxiety is your desire. When you know you cannot control it, but you're still bothered about it, is because you have a desire that is externally, you are extremely driven by the desire. If you know, okay, this is not in my control, I will do what I can, but after that I don't have any control, you will start learning how to control your desire, how to control your motivation, which is desire. I will do what I haven't, and you will start pushing yourself towards right effort, which is in a way is called also somewhere called karma yoga as well. Time, is it permanent or temporary? What I am associating with, is it permanent? Okay, I have a job today. My self images, I'm a great, my self images, I'm a great management professional, or I am great because I have a great management designation. Tomorrow it might be taken away. Who knows? Who knows? Tomorrow it might be taken away. COVID happened. So many people would have gotten laid off from the job. Now, if you think I am my job or I exist because my job exists, then imagine the kind of identity crisis you're having. Today the job is gone and you don't exist anymore because everything was associated with your job. And then you'll have to shift yourself towards a new way of thinking, and that new way of thinking will be a challenge, and then you will learn more and they'll say, hey, job was just a part of me, it was not me. Doesn't mean that you'll stop putting a right efforts there. It only means that you will know where to prioritize it. You will know it's external, it's not internal. I cannot control my job. I can give my best, but I cannot control. A lot of times we suffer because we want to control what we cannot. A lot of time we have a low self-esteem, a compromised self-image, because we think we cannot control outside. And we think those are smarter who can control outside. Truth is, nobody can control outside. Nobody can control outside. Yes, there are far more bigger and deeper nuances with respect to Karma Yoga. Very, very deep nuances, and which are tremendous. But that is your investigation. That cannot be discussed like this. That's a very, very that's tremendously. It's like you will that's a different journey you take. So there are things that you do, and that has their own repercussion. In the sense, your action has its own energy. So that's what. So that is one aspect of. So what you're associating with, is it temporary or permanent? The more you associate with temporary, which is usually outside, because outside things are changing every time, you are changing all the time. What is permanent? Permanent is more of your self realizations. Like, uh, after the day will come night is a law. No, it's a law of cycles. Universe has the law of cycles. If you see, the law of cycles is all around you. You have sun, you have day and night, you have seasons, you have, even your breathing is cycle. Inhale, exhale. Inhale is a cycle. It's a cycle that you're doing every second. Hmm? So this law of, so if you have these kind of realizations, that if you associate with those kind of realizations, your self image will be, it's like it will be very, very strong, because that is dependent on life truths. And you cannot have life truths until you dabble with life, until you engage with life, until you let life challenge you, make you vulnerable, beat you, and give you opportunities. Questions? So we are over with sessions here. Okay, we have questions here. Anjana?
So there is just one question that I've got.
Hmm.
It says that in the time of social media and media influence, we tend to see many influencers on social media coming up and portraying themselves.
Hmm.
And there I get a sort of self image conflict. When I see the life of social media influencers, it tends to give me a kind of conflict with my own self image. So, how to go about it?
Okay, I have a recommendation on that. First, respect what you have. The moment, see, the point is that social media influencer is doing his or her job. Let her do his or her job. The point is that why you're getting affected is not because of her. You're getting affected because what you have, you're not respecting it. Respect your own situation, whatever it is. Means it, whatever it is yours. Whatever it is yours. If you won't respect it, who will respect it? So the social media influencer, great, you can get inspired, but you cannot beat yourself over what the other person has or what the other person is showing. And who knows what social media influencer has gone through or what facade the person is putting up. I don't know. How I understand sometimes is usually how I personally, how I will tell you is how do I figure out these things. First of all, I don't consider any influencer as God. He's a human being, she's a human being. I don't undermine my uh, situation because of somebody else. And I, mind you, it's not that I was always like this. I used to think other person is better, or I used to, there are many other things. Like you used to say, you know what, that thing is better than what I have. But then you realize over a period of time, hey, you know what, your thing is your thing. Whatever is yours. And that's, isn't it? And if I will not value it, who will value it? So that is, so don't get, see, get inspired by whatever inspires you. But first, respect whatever you have. You don't have a car, you have a cycle, respect that you have a cycle. Because, you know what? But, okay, okay. Uh, it's like, but what I might be having, other person might not be having. So what I see, I feel what I see is the only thing. No, there's why don't you respect maybe the humility you have? Why don't you respect the upbringing you have? Like I have never studied in any so-called top grade school in my hometown. I was a part of a very humble institution called Kendriya Vidyalaya, and it's a fantastic school. Why I say so? Okay, we were not very great at flaunting things or had very great so-called English education, but what we had was actually beautiful thing. In my class was the son or a daughter of an IG, and in my class was the son and daughter of a bus conductor. It helped me, it gave me that life experiences to engage with such a strata of society across. Imagine that, you know what, you are growing up with all kind of people in your class, and what a beautiful engagement. So if you want to maneuver, first of all, forget about influencer. Influencer is not the challenge here. You are looking outside. Go within. First, figure out what do you value in yourself and what do you want to change in yourself. Doesn't mean it makes you bad. Even the influencer has to change himself or herself. If the influencer has a superiority complex, it is their challenge. The point is that it is their challenge. They have to deal with it. I can't make it my challenge. I can't make my life based on what they have to say. Yeah, if something works for me, okay, you know what, it works. Like right now we are discussing, maybe one of the ideas I share, Anjana shares, Sonia shares, Roshni shares might actually change it. So am I right now, this is the influence that is happening. So don't at all bother about don't at all. So again, if somebody external is actually influencing you, the challenge is not external, challenge is internal. Figure out why it is influencing you. That's it. If the question you asked is fine.
Yeah. Yes sir, that was the question all about.
Yeah, any other question we have?
Not really, sir. There are certain questions which we had in the registration form.
Yeah, we'll answer those.
Yeah, I'm just so first question is regarding how to maintain your self-image without hating ourselves. Hello. I think sir will join us in a minute.
Okay, sorry guys, I think I lost out for a moment.
All right, sir, the question was how to maintain your self-image without hating yourself.
Okay, wait, I think was there a question from Roshni? I think did I just see a question from Roshni? Roshni, did you put a question there?
Yeah, I sent on a personal chat to you.
Okay, can you put it up here?
Yeah, one moment.
Okay, Roshni, Sonia, can you come online? And it's like we are only 4 of us, so we can have a better discussion also if you guys, in case you want. Okay, how do you understand or identify the self-image that you have or perceive yourself as right? How does one confirm it? Fantastic. Okay. How do you understand? Okay, wait. Let me put my camera on. How do you understand?
Sir, I think Sonia and Roshni, if they can put their cameras on, it will be a very nice discussion.
Yes, we can do that. Hi, Roshni. Good to see you.
Same here.
Sonia? Okay, I don't know whether she's there or not. Okay, so the question was, how do you understand or identify the self-image that you have or perceive yourself as right? If I'll give you a few pointers, and based on that, if it prompts you to move ahead every time when you face a failure, if it makes you feel confident, I'm not talking about you will not make mistakes, you will make mistakes, but you know that you are beyond mistakes also, and then you make mistakes, and mistakes are a way of building yourself. So, and how you can make it healthy all the time is by knowing that you are a little more it's like you don't feel bad about making mistakes. Number one, you don't let others decide how you feel. You don't let others decide how you feel. That's another part. It's important part. Third is you are it's like you are okay, another, this is a very beautiful sign. You are full of gratitude. More and more you are full of gratitude in life. It's not that your life is not full of challenges, but you feel, hey, you know what, even I have this also, I have so many good people in my life. Oh, you know what, oh, this is also there. Oh, you know what, I could have done things this way also. Fourth thing, you start figuring out solutions rather than challenges. You become a solution mindset person. You stop thinking, oh, if I have to do this is a challenge, if I have to do that, this is a challenge. You stop pinpointing problems. If you pinpoint problems, you start pinpointing solutions also. So you say, okay, you know what, hey, I can change this way, or you know what, this can be done this way. You become a person who says, oh yes, this can be done. Yes, it can be done. And if it cannot, doesn't mean that you will say yes for everything it can be done. If it cannot be done, say, you know what, I can't do it as of now. But you won't beat yourself over it. You will say, okay, let it be. I can't do it as of now. You will let go. It's like, I can't be a Prime Minister of India right now, right? Even if I want to be. Doesn't mean that I have a self-image that is bad. Okay, you know, right now, right now, the situation around my life, I'm not supposed to be Prime Minister of India. Another thing, another beautiful aspect, if I can tell you, and if I can actually somewhere understand and embed it, or kind of figure it, or investigate it rather. I'll not say embedding it would come very late. Investigate it. Give up the idea that I need to have this, I want to have this. Instead, see what life has given you now. The more we run after I have something missing in my life, the more we lose sight of the thought, hey, you know what? This life is giving me this. Why don't I expect this? Why don't I accept this? Life is giving me this challenge. Okay, let me figure it out. A lot of times, why we have a problem with self-image is that we want something else, life is giving us something else. We want a great car, but life is giving me a challenge saying that, okay, actually do this. So we actually stop engaging with life. We are on constantly what is not in my control. I constantly keep on focusing what is not in my control. But how will I focus on what is in my control until I don't say, hey, you know what? Okay, I have this thing in my life. Like I tell you from now. I live in Bombay. I want to have a house in Bombay. I don't have a house in Bombay. It's expensive property out here, right? Should I beat myself over that? What I don't have a house in Bombay. I don't have a house in Bombay. Leave it aside. Okay, which means right now I don't have it. The situation in my life doesn't permit me to have a house. Can I not work towards it? Yeah, I can work towards it. But what else do I have in my life right now? I have a business which I can grow. I have great friends. I have great people. I have a philosophy school that I can be part of, which can give me such great insight. So all of a sudden, my life perspective changes from what I have or what I want to my own within what I need to grow. So there's a very beautiful quote I read somewhere, or rather, it is like, I don't want anything. I want to be ready. So understand that whatever you are ready for, life is anyway giving you that. Whatever you are ready for, life is giving you that. You don't even have to ask for it. Not that here I'm talking about spirituality and philosophy. You will always see whatever comes to you naturally, you are automatically ready for it. In a sense, whatever you feel confident about, automatically that thing flows to you. Like Anjana, you'll never have a problem of public speaking. You will see, hey, there are so many opportunities all around, all the time over public speaking. See how it's like you are in tune, you are in sync with that. You don't see, ask somebody who doesn't like public speaking, and the person will say there are not enough opportunities to speak. So if you want, so one way, this is actually a very, I will say this is a mantra. Can you focus on what is life giving you and learn from it and say, okay, and life will give you all kind of things. It will give you good things also. It will give you things to learn also. It will give you tremendous challenges also. And I know of people who are going through tremendous challenges. But even in though when they go through those tremendous challenge and you are able to keep the center, once they come out of it, they feel, oh my God, the kind of confidence they have. And that's why people say, no, I have been through such difficult situations that has made me tough. What doesn't kill you makes you tougher. It's that only.
So can I also add one point to that? So also when the question here was like, how do you understand or identify the self-image that you have is true or not? I also feel that when you try to portray yourself as something else, like she was asking whether the way you perceive yourself, is it right? So sometimes we tend to perceive ourselves as someone else. Like you try to portray yourself, maybe I'm a very smart girl, but I want to perceive myself as an introverted or maybe like a very calm girl, right? So when you try or when you force yourself to perceive yourself in a different light, you will start getting suffocated at some point.
So what you are saying is be a neutral observer.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that is where exactly a lot of Upanishads also say, be a neutral observer. So in fact, it is spiritually there's a different discussion altogether, which is called free will and divine will. And it's a beautiful discussion there out there, but we'll not go into that. But I think what it's be a neutral observer, and then you're a neutral observer, you will see, okay, what I want and what life is giving to me. And the more you will play with what life is giving to you, the more you will be able to play to what you want also in life. At least turn towards that. One thing is 100% sure from my experience, I can tell you about my own conviction. If you are only about want, but you are not focused about what life has given you, you will lose all the time, all the time. And when somebody feels, oh, he has got it, she has got it, why do I don't get it? The missing thing is that the other person knows how to bring alignment into things what life is giving and to turn into what they want. Towards, I'm not saying they get it. I'm saying towards what they want. They get it, they don't get it, I don't know, because I'm not in their pace. Yeah.
The next set of questions are like how to maintain your self-image without hating yourself.
How to maintain a self-image without hating yourself? Stop judging yourself. Start respecting what you have. If you don't respect what you have, you will hate yourself because you don't like it. Like,
and also, sir, accepting the kind of personality we are. That's also there. Like sometimes you want to be someone else. That happens. And which one can change our life? Is it real self or self-image?
Self-image is a part of real self. Spend your time understanding more about yourself, your self-image. As you were just pointed out, Anjana, some time back. Point out that be a neutral observer. You're actually, philosophically and spiritually speaking, your real self is a soul. Now that's a spiritual discussion. Okay, but start your real self is what is authentic. And many times we say, oh, you know what, I'm like this only, I'm authentic. No, you can turn better as well. Oh, I shout all the time, I keep shouting. No, you are in a social situation. You have the responsibility to grow yourself so that others can also be with you. Yes.
So the next question is, what are the roots of insecurities about ourselves? What are the roots of insecurities?
Outside. When you want something outside. When we don't think, when we see that what we are doing, what we want is not in our control. Simple. What we want is not in our control is the root of all insecurities. All insecurities. We want to be the president in the company, but it's not in our control. I can do the best, but it's not in our control. So what I'll do is I'll start conniving. I'll start going and start kind of cheating. I will start going and kind of start kind of playing politics. Politics everybody plays, by the way. So yeah, this is one thing.
The last questions are how to stay self-confident and be systematic in life activities.
How to stay self-confident and be systematic in life activities. How to stay self-confident. Know that, number one, no one has the right answers. No one in this life. No one in this world has the right answers. Number one. So your answer is as good as others. But yes, it's not that alone. You should have the inclination and intention to keep on improving yourself. That's it. If you keep on improving yourself, if you make a promise to yourself that I'll keep on improving myself no matter what comes, you can. And if you respect this aspect about yourself, then I think, yeah, you can live your life being centered. And because what else can be better than improving yourself all the time? What else can be better? Nothing else can be better. Nothing else can be a great quality, but to be able to improve all the time. Nothing else can be a great quality. But I value it now. You have to take a time to value it yourself. Like, you know what, when you respect that, it's like, it's not that you don't make losses. You make losses, a lot of losses as well, but you respect it. I think we have questions over.
Yes, sir, we're done.
Okay, thank you. The last man
Thank you,
standing,
Roshni.
Roshni Roira.
Thank you, Ambuj.
Thank you so much, Roshni, for
Thank
coming
you.
over. It was a pleasant surprise for me as well. Great. We shall connect. We should connect offline as well.
Done, definitely. Yes.
Anna?
I'll-
Thank you,
Yeah.
Anjana. You have been a great
Yes.
host like always, and thank you so much for your lovely, great energy that you keep offering.
Yes, totally. And thank you to you too.
Thank you. And next time
Yeah.
we'll work on it further.
Yeah.
and improve it.
Sure, sir.
Especially on my
Bye.
lighting in my room.
Okay.
Sure.
Bye, sir.